Just looking at the comment section.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. My name is Scott Morgan. We're at the Motor City Mad Mouth. Got a great crew lined up. Before I go and get to the crew, we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, the New England Patriots, and the Jaguars, Devontae Adams. We're going to talk about NFL flex scheduling, and we'll proceed accordingly. So we got a pretty good lineup. And, of course, we can't forget about the Detroit Lions as well. Well, now I'll introduce the crew right to left. We have old Bo here. Welcome back to the big show, Bo.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Always fun to be here.
Oh, we enjoy having you here tremendously. All right, Jeremy, my top pinch hitter.
How you doing tonight, everybody? Good to be here.
Sometimes I don't even know if you're a pinch hitter, but somehow you get on here one way or the other, and you fit in nice. I don't even know what to call you. Anyway, smoking is good enough. All right, and Travis, Mr. Jaguar Holmes.
Man, y'all done messed up and let me in again. Let's go.
Oh, we're ready. Okay. And last but not least, the man we're handing the rock to a lot, Melfar Jr. All right.
What's going on, guys?
Us is what's going on, and the chat room is going to get going. So let's lead it off here. Baseball term. Of course, can't forget about the World Series starting on Friday night. But Lamar Jackson versus the NFC. Get this, 23-1. Can you imagine him in the Super Bowl? Oh, my God. Would you bet against Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl? We'll see if they get there because the road's tough. So what do you think about the domination against the NFC? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers took it 41-31 last night. So from there, Bo can pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. They definitely had the right game on national TV because the ESPN Plus game was like a Football Follies episode. So I'm glad we got to watch the Bucs and the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens, they look like they're going to beat up on a lot of people as long as they don't get too cute and stay with the run. You feel bad for the Bucs, though. Some pretty heavy injuries in that game.
Yeah, well, that's true. And you know what? After we go around the horn and talk about it, we are going to talk about that because that is significant. All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Well, yeah, you had Clown A versus Clown B on ESPN Plus, but the good game was on regular ESPN between the Bucs and Ravens. And they basically were tearing them up so much they lost both of their star receivers for the season. Blown hammy for Mike Evans and a broken ankle for Chris Godwin, and no one wants to see that. I hate hearing about injuries that are season-ending, my team included. We've seen enough of it all around the league, but broken bones are different. That's something you can't plan for. It doesn't matter about your soft tissues. It doesn't matter about conditioning. Those are the freak accidents that is a part of the game.
All right. Well, by the way, Belo's very clean here, Bo. Okay. Bo, you need to replace that Pepsi can with a Mountain Dew. I would say Diet Mountain Dew, but anyway, Jeremy was.
I'm not a Mountain
Dew. I'd agree with
drinker.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah, we know you would.
Really?
Yeah, no. I'm a Pepsi fan.
All right.
Pepsi or Dr. Pepper.
They ain't paying us nothing, man. Take that can down.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't have a garbage next to me, so that's why. That's why I left it. I don't have anywhere to put it.
I would say I'm a Pepsi drinker. We all love something that is subpar, and it's okay, bro.
I do want to add, NFC would worry about Lamar in the Super Bowl if he could get out of his own conference in the playoffs.
That's what I just said, but I'm glad you reinforced it. All right, so since Jeremy went ahead and talked about the injuries, let me just backtrack real quick to you, Bo. Obviously, we know what transpired. Mike Evans has a hamstring injury. He won't be back till week 12. And, of course, you hate to see a guy go down with 43 seconds left. The team is down by 10 points and suffer a season ender, who you have blame. And I'm referring to, obviously, Chris Godwin. Of course, we know Mike Evans at least still has a puncher's chance to get back a little bit. Some thoughts, Bo?
Yeah, I mean, 43 seconds, 43 minutes left. Doesn't matter. Like, you don't want to see that kind of stuff. You want guys to stay healthy if they can. And as much as people are like, oh, he shouldn't have been in there anymore. I mean, they're still trying to battle, and the players still want to be out there. I mean, it's not like I get it from a, pack everything up and live to play another day. But I mean, at the same time, you want to compete. Like I always wanted to play every second of every game. So it is what it is. Do you feel bad for the guy? Sure. But I mean, that could have happened early in the game too. So, at the end of the day, you just don't want to see anybody get hurt.
That's our buddy Gary of the Gary and Stein Show.
Fair enough. Okay, let me turn over to Travis. He's been waiting patiently.
Well, I mean, I do understand the logic and the thought process of saying, hey, I want to compete. I want to get out there and I want to just do this for my guys. But that's also how you get Tua. That's also how you get concussion brain out here making these dumb decisions. These unjustified decisions, we'll call it. So sometimes somebody's got to be the adult here. Like if you're down in a game where it's over and your legs are worth $1 million and your arm is worth millions of dollars, somebody got to be like, hey man, come on, pinch hit. Like we have enough players on this roster for a reason that we need to come on. Let's save this for a season because this game is not going to there's no material change that's going to happen from this game. And even if they would have scored and made this game look reasonably close, we knew they weren't winning. So what are we talking about? It's just there's no strength of there's no. Yeah, this ain't helping with your ranking at the end of the season. This ain't college football. Like at the end of the day, man, get them off the field. So I do understand the players want to do what they want to do, but that's how teams get in trouble with that mindset because that's so old. I'm not calling you old school, but that is an old school philosophy that I understand, but also don't get with this new money, if that makes sense.
I mean, with the old school, it's cool.
Hey man, with the old school money, you can make them old school decisions, but with the new school money, we got. Hey, no, that you are worth way more than this game. Let's make better decisions these days. So unfortunately, it's a sucky situation. But as far as Lamar is concerned, being in the Super Bowl, you guys already made great points on that. Hey, if he can find a way to get out of the AFC, sure, because them guys play defense on that side. The other guys on the other side. I mean, you can. It's more like I don't even know this high flying Boise State or whoever else. Like that whole conference is just who can score the most and play the least defense. But for the most part, you got a lot of dog fights over in the AFC that you're gonna have to get through. So if Lamar can get that, then yeah, man, it maybe put that little feather in his cap. But that's the murderous road that you got to get through first.
All right, well said. All right, we'll turn over to Mel, and then I have a few interesting comments based on what you guys talked about. Go ahead, Mel. 23-1. He owns the NFC.
Other than Kansas City, I mean, who do you think is tough in the AFC?
Who do I think is tough? Just defense, because we're talking the playoffs. So unfortunately, this is NFL playoffs where it's not the best team winning. It's not like the NBA.
The gauntlet of the AFC. Other than Kansas City, who else do you feel can challenge them in the AFC?
Oh, defensively, I can name multiple teams. I mean, Pittsburgh can beat them if you're talking just the playoffs. We're talking one game. This ain't best of 3, best of 5. This is one game. Who are the teams that can muck the game up and get them down to their level?
Yeah, that's
right. So I'm just saying, like, just teams in the playoffs, maybe wild card teams, like just teams that they'll have to face basically at some point in the playoffs. So you're talking the Chargers. You're talking
City, really, because who else is there? I mean, San Diego, maybe. I don't know.
I want to name teams that play good defense because I don't see many NFC teams that just play good defense other than maybe the Lions. But we're talking like you got the Chargers.
Good defense. I mean, it didn't show when the Lions played against them.
Minnesota plays good defense when you can pressure them and you fold the pressure. But the Lions, that's 3 out of 3 times they don't put up 30+ points on them boys. So the Lions, they have their card for sure. But nevertheless, yeah, like Pittsburgh, like Buffalo's solid. I don't know if they could do it, but I think they'll give them a run. And then you're talking mainly Kansas City. So you have 3 to 4 teams that have a fighter's chance. Whereas in the NFC, I think you're just talking about one team.
That's fair. So what do you think, Mel? I mean, I'm asking you this question too. Hi, Jennifer. A lot of us know who Jennifer is, gentlemen. Yeah, Mel and I work with her. Jeremy does. Vote one of these days you will. And you will, Travis. She's looked at the tape here and sees that I've revamped this whole thing and it's looking awfully nice. So what do you think, Mel? 23-1? You see what we've got in front of us. They own the NFC. Of course, they made the Lions last year look like shredded wheat.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
then again, they made
concerned.
a lot.
I'm concerned about the Lions, as Travis alluded to. Their defense, they couldn't get any pressure on the quarterback. Whether
Yeah,
they
but
five.
we'll address that later. I want to just focus on Lamar and the Ravens because that is something that'll come up in a couple of minutes.
I mean, I think this is his best opportunity. And I think his mindset is right, and it's right for them to make a nice run in the playoffs. Buffalo's not playing very well. Kansas City's going to be tough, but they're not playing very well offensively. Now, defense is keeping them in the game, but when that running game travels, the running game travels, and that defense is going to travel. And Lamar, I think he's an X factor because of the things that he's capable of doing. So that changes things as opposed to having a quarterback that's just stationary back there in the pocket. So they can do some special things this year with the defense, with that running game, and with Lamar's right arm, and also with his legs. They can do some special things this year. As far as the injury front goes, I mean, that's just part of football. I mean, injuries happen at any particular time. I mean, they can happen getting off the bus. They can happen anytime. It's unfortunate. Players never go into a game thinking they're going to get hurt. That's the last thing you're thinking about, because you're thinking about that. It's time for them to go get out and do what we do and just talk about the game. Once you start thinking about those type of scenarios, it's time to get out of the game. So it's just an unfortunate thing. When it happened was unfortunate. The severity of the injury obviously is unfortunate. But I mean, I think for Tampa, I mean, the break is probably better than the hamstring because that hamstring can linger forever. Mike Williams seems like every year he's got a hamstring issue. And that's one of them things that can just linger forever, man. And they're tough until they just pop, till they just go. You think you're good, and all of a sudden you get out there and you do something, and that thing just yanks and it's done. So I'd be more concerned about that hamstring than I would be about that break.
Okay, I have an interesting personal story I want to bring up to you guys. Number one, I was skiing once upon a time, another lifetime ago. Yes, I was on Christmas Day. And I'll never forget the time. Travis already laughing. He probably knows. Oh God, where's
No, go ahead.
Oh no, but it's okay. I can see body language. I may have a few screws loose.
Hey Scott, I'm just picturing you skiing, bro. It made me laugh before we even got into the storyline.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people on this.
Can you picture me skiing?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
maybe.
Here. Well,
I snowboard. I don't ski, so this is just interesting across the board.
Yeah, so here's the situation. I'll never forget the time that on my last run of the day, okay, and by then you're doing it all day, then your legs get tired, but I didn't even think anything of it. Last run of the day, I didn't land the right way, and I had to be airlifted on a magic mountain in Londonderry, Vermont. I'm thinking about it. Man, I was going to finish my day, and I was good, and all of a sudden, I went way downtown, bang, right on top of the hill at Magic Mountain in Londonderry, Vermont. The irony of that whole situation, though? Billy Martin, the former manager, okay, in Major League Ball, especially for the Yankees, was killed the same day that I got hurt on Christmas Day. And I'm going to tell you, I tore the ligaments of my ankle. So when you guys talk about injuries, okay, I wish I would have broken that stupid ankle instead of have those ligaments, because that took me about 2 years to recover and led to 2 arthroscopic procedures. So, let's face it, I'm not afraid to admit on a national show here that I did win, and I'm proud of it too, I think, that I once upon a time did win a trophy for most unusual form in bowling. So, and then I ended up having fun with Dennis Rodman about it many years ago over at West Bloomfield. But hey, you know what? Like Travis said, the moral of the story is this, okay? I would rather break something rather than have anything to do with ligaments and everything that we're having to deal with. So I breathe you. Unfortunately, I've lived it, and I'm probably the most unnatural athlete on the planet, and that might be mildly stating the obvious, especially when you factor my bowling career as well, which I'm not really going to get into an embarrassing commentary about it. I get it. Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, hey, in life, you can't be afraid to laugh at yourself. I do a lot of times, and now I got an audience willing to listen to me. Good stuff. Really? Seriously?
If I had my choice, I'd rather do neither. Have no ligament damage or bones
Exactly.
busted.
Well, you're a lot smarter than I am. I told
But
you.
you know, a break sometimes is better than the ligaments, because I did the same thing with my ankle too, and you know, a year later I had surgery.
We could go that far. I'll even take you further back in my history. When I went to a day camp situation, trying to lift a box hockey set up there, and the thing crashed down on my right leg, and I broke it in 2 places. And they had to carry me out of there. So my mom says, what were you trying to do? I said, whatever I was trying to do didn't work out very good, because that stupid box hockey. And I'll tell you what, I was such a smart individual, okay, that I tried to go swimming with a plaster cast, and I had to go back there and face the knife. I had to do it again. And I was scared of that cotton picking saw. I mean, how am I bringing this up here? Because I say it is what it is. And you know what? I get 3 for the price of 1. I get to talk about box hockey, cool stuff, right? Then I talk about bowling and skiing. And you know what? If that isn't the 3 stooges of sports and me looking like a complete first-class idiot, I don't know what it is. But meanwhile, the time's for Monday Night Football.
You're trying to challenge Evil Knievel for the Guinness Book of World Record, I think.
Oh, I got news for you. I idolize Evil Knievel. You know, I breathe him. You know, the guy's willing to take chances. You know, I don't have a problem with Evil Knievel. But at any rate, as we get going on here, I took this off topic a little bit, but who cares? We got an attentive audience out there. So, hey, Jay, thanks. You like the hoodie? Yeah, United States. There we go. So I breathe the U.S. today. Yeah, Jay's one of a kind. He's as good as they get out there. So thanks, Jay. Appreciate you very much. All right, we got Dwayne Keene. Let's go Detroit Lions pride. Well, hang on in a few minutes. We're going to talk about the Lions. King of the North. Good stuff. All right, so we're going to go from a Jackson to a Watson. Deshaun Watson. Oh, what are you laughing at? Jackson to Watson.
J.I. No.
Travis hates Evil Knievel. You know who he is?
Why do I hate Evil Knievel?
Yeah, I was wondering if you knew who he was.
Because Blows
I don't
was
even
saying
understand
you were a
this.
buster earlier, so
You might be dealing with Evil Knievel
Travis
Jr.
I'm like, dang, what did I do to Evil Knievel? Man.
You know who? Well, all right. Well, that's okay. Hey, I put it out there. That's all right. The only one we're missing out here is Joshua Bernstein. He's only watching the Masters game anyway.
You see that, Mr. Melfar Jr.? Look up on
I see that. That's awfully kind of
yeah.
him.
All right, so we're going to go to a Jackson to a Watson, as I said moments ago. Deshaun Jackson goes down with an Achilles injury, out for the season. The Browns fans ended up booing. The Cleveland Browns fans booed. Who knows what the reason is? But here's the whole thing. Okay, Cleveland's cap hit for 2025 is $72.9 million, and it duplicates in 2026. All right, Bo, try to make some sense out of the booing, number 1. Okay, and 2, I don't get it, or was it just Cleveland? You know, frustrated with this guy. I don't know. I can't make sense out of this whole thing.
To be fair, they booed him coming on the field to start the day too.
Okay.
So it wasn't necessarily booing because he got hurt. They just booing him since he got there.
Well, the bad thing is while he's on the cart and they're chanting.
No, then they were cheering.
So they were chanting, "You deserve this."
Yeah, so that was actually that was a dub thing. So it from what I was seeing, that was a dub thing. That wasn't actually part of the real broadcast. But either way, they probably would have done it had they thought about it. There was cheering though, for sure. So that's unfortunate. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see guys get hurt, obviously. But you know, if he was out there balling out, like if he was the guy that they thought they were getting, they wouldn't have been doing this. He's been playing as one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, which is why he's been getting booed everywhere. And then you add all of the off the field stuff, and that just adds that extra fervor to the fire, right? So, I mean, there's a lot going wrong, but you know, let me answer this with a question. Are the Browns better today now that he's gone?
Yeah, right.
DTR didn't look any better.
All right, well, you know what? That'll be a good transition over to Jeremy, since he's chomping at the bit to go out there and add information, which is good stuff. But now you can add whatever information you want. And by the way, are they better? The only thing I'm going to add to it that I read up on recently was Bailey Zappi was obtained off the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. So I don't know. I'll let Jeremy continue on with this topic.
It's an awful look for the city of Cleveland and their fans.
Right.
Myles Garrett went to the presser and gave them all a piece of his mind. You don't cheer when somebody's carted off the field. I don't care how bad they're playing. The first thing you should be worried about is this man's career over. The second thing you should worry about is he going to your massage parlor.
It's part of the rehab. Why are you mad at it?
Interesting. Okay, we'll let Travis take the rock from there, because Jeremy's got everybody thinking in the chat room before they provide their 2 cents. So go ahead, Travis.
Let's be honest. Everyone in Cleveland has been waiting for something to happen, and this was the thing that they all wanted and were waiting for it to happen, because they knew that the coaching staff was not going to bench Deshaun because the owner wasn't going to allow them to. Like, so this honestly was either, I almost have to say, like, the only ending to this. Because either they're going to play and then everybody's just going to hate everybody, because they're going to hate the coach, they're going to hate the owner, they're hating the fact that they're losing all the games. Like, in every way, the fans have hated all of this, and they all will blame it on Deshaun Watson for accepting a blank check that was written to him, because that's really what this comes down to. If somebody gives me a blank check and I'm the worst person in the world, you know what I'm gonna do? Cash it, because it's a check. That's what I and that's what I do with checks. Unfortunately, so. They're mad. He's a lightning rod. They're mad at him for being who he was when they gave him the money, because they can't be mad at the owner because they don't own the team, unlike someone like Green Bay, where the actual town owns the team through their board of directors. So yeah, this happened. It's thanks to Jeremy's point, it doesn't look great. Even if some of it was dubbed, the boos are the boos. The boo birds were out. Yes, they were. But at the end of the day, you also asking, like, millionaires and other millionaires are asking for people who make tens of thousands of dollars a year not to boo for these millionaires. That's gonna be a hard sell, bro. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be honest with you right now. Like, they are here even when you're making millions of dollars playing for another team. So you telling me that this guy who's pretty terrible, just objectively speaking, as a person, just who you are, is pretty terrible, and you telling me who makes you telling me who makes $45,000 a year not to boo this man after ruining what I consider my livelihood, because this is all I got to group for right now with my $40,000 a year. That's a hard sell, bro. I'm sorry. You might be going to just.
What are you talking about? He said he's a model citizen.
Keep that in the locker room. Model, yeah, he was a model citizen, all right, yeah, but not the models we talking about. Different models.
Oh, I was waiting for that one, Travis. I swear. You what, Travis? You fall into the GMTA category, brother. Great mind think alike. I was waiting for you to talk about model in that context. Seriously, really?
AI. That's because they never went after him criminally. They only went after his money.
Of course, but I mean, Cleveland's the organization is celebrating. I mean, not for the injury itself, but the insurance policy that the guys that Over the Cap were talking about all yesterday. The fact that they may get up to, if he's out for even 75% of the season next year, they may get up to like $35 million in cap relief on the cap next year. So Cleveland might be dancing in the street, so that might be a very interesting situation depending on how it plays out with the doctors.
Well, that's not the only place to be dancing. Right now, they're talking about dancing in a dome stadium a few years from now, but we won't even get in that.
I'm like, it's a bad look, and somehow I'm endorsing booing people.
Well, I mean, it is something.
I thought they cheered him. They cheered when he got hurt. Is that what it did?
They booed when he walked on the field, and they cheered when he got in the cart.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, try to digest that one, Mel, for a second. Remember, we're not talking Philadelphia. We're talking Cleveland.
Man, that's just life, man. I mean, they cheered him when he came over there and he had all those things hanging over his head. Right. And then, he hasn't been a model citizen. It's not really, I guess, he doesn't really seem, obviously he hasn't connected with the city. I mean, if he connected with the city, it might be, they probably wouldn't have cheered him. And then he's playing bad. He's not playing well.
It's that
He's
last.
not. They're not. They don't feel like they're getting what they're getting their money's worth. I mean, he got 230 million guaranteed. Now, granted, the first year he missed 11 games because of suspension. When he came back, he didn't play that well. Last year, he didn't play that well, and then he got hurt, had the shoulder injury, and then this year he just has not been playing that well. So, I mean, where's the return on investment? They let Baker Mayfield get out of there, and he's lighting it up down there in Tampa Bay. Made the Pro Bowl last year, although he's had a couple stops in between. So they thought they're getting an upgrade when they signed him or when they traded for him, and it hasn't happened. So, I mean, the fans have every right to be happy. I mean, they're the ones that pay the salaries, right? They're the ones that buy the tickets. They're the ones that buy the merchandise. They're the reason why the NFL has the media deals that they have because of the fans. So they have every right to express their frustration and their displeasure and whether or not they like you or not. I mean, it's better than throwing bottles at them or things of that nature. I mean, I think you'd much rather have that than they're throwing trash at them and stuff like that from the stands. So I mean, hey, you want the fans to love you, be a little more endearing to the city, and play better.
Well, it's funny because the fans will overlook a lot of off the field craziness if you play well.
Yeah, there's no question.
Tyreek Hill.
The only thing I want to add to this, okay, and that's this, okay, is number one, we all know it's performance related. Otherwise, if it wasn't performance related, then I really have to really come down harder on the Browns fans. But I'm going to throw one little intangible that happened last year. Why the heck did they let Joe Flacco leave and not give him another contract extension or something to keep this guy around? That to me boggles my mind. It really does. Joe Flacco, folks, took you to the playoffs. Really? Seriously? And you let him go? He's in Indianapolis. He stands to get back to the playoffs again. Okay, and we're the Browns.
They couldn't afford to keep him, and they're paying this guy $230 million. That's why.
Oh, give me a break! You're talking Joe Flacco compared to Deshaun Watson. I don't know what we're calling that in terms of everything else, Mel. Seriously, brother.
Who was cheaper, Joe Flacco or Jameis Winston or DTR? I mean, who's cheaper?
That's not the comparison. I'm talking about Joe Flacco versus Deshaun Watson. I didn't put that on the multiple choice.
Oh yeah, that's not
fair.
I mean,
I have a theory.
It's on what you're smoking, Scott. That wasn't gonna happen.
Well, I have a theory on this one.
I'll tell you right now what I'm smoking, Mel. I'm smoking out of my ears, my mouth, and my gray beard's about to catch on fire. The bottom line is I'm comparing Joe Flacco to not Jameis Winston. Who knows if they'll have enough confidence to put him on the field anyway, even though he's in the building. But I'm comparing Joe Flacco to Deshaun Watson. Now, I realize that at this particular point, okay, Joe Flacco got into the playoffs, Deshaun Watson didn't. That's the only thing I'm smoking, Mel. I'm not talking about the other quarterbacks that they're bringing in. I mean, who knows?
He didn't exactly have like a great touchdown to interception ratio. I mean, a lot of that was carried by the defense. It's not like Flacco was playing lights out. He had decent yardage, but I mean, like he didn't put up a lot of touchdowns, threw equal amount of interceptions. Like he wasn't exactly killing it.
Flacco was bad after those first two games.
29.
Well, here, let's not lose sight of one thing about Cleveland.
But their salaries were similar actually. Jameis Winston was $4 million and Joe Flacco was $4.5 million. So it's not like
Joe Flacco. He's talking about Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson. He's not talking about Joe Flacco and Jameis Winston.
Well, I'm talking about the backups because I originally
That's what Scott's talking about. He's talking about
my theory. So my theory on all of this was always the fact that they got rid of Joe Flacco for the same reason that the Jacksonville Jaguars, whenever they would have a black quarterback, Byron Leftwich, they made sure to have somebody like a Quinn Gray backing them up because whenever you have a black quarterback, you better have a black quarterback behind them to keep these fans quiet. They ain't gonna yell in these streets to have somebody else like who was an actual hope and a dream backing this guy up. Because as soon as that black dude start playing, they're gonna be like, "Hey man, you better get that boy out of here." Like now that language changes very quickly when you have Snoop, somebody like Snoop or Jameis Winston behind him, because no one's yelling for that guy to come in after your original quarterback. And a lot of the times you have those black quarterbacks, you're gonna have somebody with the same attributes, maybe not like attributes, but the same physical attributes as far as running a similar offense. So often you're going to have a black quarterback backed up by another black quarterback, and that also keeps your fans silent. This is the Cleveland Browns, who don't want their fans to be out in these streets picketing because they have a quarterback that they know the fans don't want to play. You got to get rid of Flacco.
Well, all right. Well, let me just say this, okay?
He's backing up a black quarterback in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and Anthony Richardson. But hold on. Let's think about it.
But they actually want to win.
But hold on. Let me say this, okay? and I'm very passionate about this. Two things I'm passionate. I've already revealed about the 3 sports, okay, tonight, okay, that obviously I'm the unnatural at. So Cleveland is a blue-collar town, and obviously they want to get their money's worth. And to answer your question, Mel, ask me after Election Day when I'm smoking, because they have an amendment on the board to legalize marijuana. And I'll tell you, if that stuff is legal, I will be the first customer, one of the first to get there. That way, for all the pain that I have everywhere around my body, from arthritis to neuropathy, give it to me. I'll tell you, I'll come on this show with that stuff in there. Because here's the thing. When I had back surgery many years ago, you know what? Well, you know what my favorite drug was? Everybody, now this is not a drug-related show. This is just one of those things that's kind of like an FYI. Get to know your host, okay? And that's it. You know what my favorite candy was? Candy Epling wasn't there at the time. Morphine, baby. When my Aunt Judy came on, and she says to me, "How you feeling?" "Oh, I'm cracking one-liners." I said, "You feeling okay?" "Yeah, that morphine is good stuff. I can crack it." Because I started making some analogy about NASCAR. You never know when the big one's going to crash, and she's like going to be, "Wow, are you sure you're okay?" "Yeah, give me morphine. I'll be good, man." That's all you got to do. So every time I go to the hospital, I have some serious work done. Give me that stuff, man. I'll take it. So here, you know what? I'm not giving a election endorsement, but Travis, you and me are both in the state of Florida, but I think it's Amendment 3. Legalize marijuana. Give it to me. Then I'll answer Mel's question. What are you on? Give me that
Segment
stuff.
brought to you in part by Zigzags.
Much as I hate to say it,
If you know the right corner to go to, you can get it.
If they
You know the right corner
no.
to go to, you can get it.
I know. If I'm at the right corner, I'm going down to Miami. I'll be lucky to see if I get back home to see my lovely wife. And I'm talking about area. Wait, hold on, Jeremy. I'm talking about areas right near where the Marlins play, or Overtown, or where a Miami Arena used to be. Now, there's no getting out of there. And I remember years ago in another lifetime, I used to sell windows in the hood in Detroit, and I'll tell you. But no, I want to be able to make sure I answer.
Like a sore thumb there, Scott.
Wait, hold on. No. I want to make sure I answer your question the next time.
Make sure don't get yourself in trouble. Yeah, don't get yourself in trouble, Scott. Yeah. Statute of limitations.
No, if it's legal, I'm okay. I only have to approve it with the boss here in the house. So no. Right. So when Mel says, "What are you smoking?" ask me after Election Day when that amendment goes through, and I'll tell everybody on this network, this is what I'm having here, boy. That's it.
What I was trying to say for you is, if that does not pass, it's legal back home here in Michigan.
Yeah, I could do that too.
Yeah, Jeremy can send you some edibles or something.
Yeah, but Florida's in it. Well, I'll tell you, you can sit here and go there. I remember years ago when prescription drugs were too expensive, and I needed sleeping pills. You know what I did when I lived in Phoenix? I went out there and went over to, I believe it was Los Al. It was a border town across from Yuma, and I used to get my sleeping pills from those Mexicans. And I'll tell you one thing, in my line of work here, thou shalt not overspend is what I consider the 11th commandment. Moses wasn't around in this day and age.
You probably don't want to do that now with the fentanyl. You probably don't want to do that now.
That's true.
I don't know. Who knows what would happen then? But yeah, I always go back to Detroit. But somehow, some reason or another, I think Florida's going to pass that amendment. I know I'm getting off tangent. I'm guilty. Who cares? We're having a good time. We have another 4 topics to go.
I mean, you got a lot of old people, a lot of folks, who lived through Woodstock. They probably wouldn't mind, getting a joint or two.
As your representation, I'm asking you to plead the fifth, sir. You got to stop talking. You telling on yourself.
Well, the one thing I can
here for a long time now, so.
Well, the one thing I can say about this here is that I don't have to pass a drug test. You know why? I think I'm called an entrepreneur, whatever they call it.
You own the company.
Yeah, right. So I don't have to worry about passing the drug test.
He make the rules. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So back then I had to really worry about it. I'm trying to think of what that was. I think it was Los Algodones across from Yuma, and I'm not getting into Yuma because otherwise the show go on forever. But at any rate, I just wanted to come back with that answer to Mel. What are you smoking? Ask me in about 3 weeks, brother, and I'll tell you what I could be smoking and might ultimately if I get confronted with a question.
You don't have to wait 3 weeks. You know.
Yeah, I know where I could get it. Yeah, that's okay. And I'll do it legally, so I don't have to go ahead and, as Keith Olbermann would say on ESPN, wait out, bang. Okay.
I wish I had that little beep 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 button like on that ESPN show with all the reporters talking. Scott would have just got 10 points.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Jeremy. But mighty kind. All right. Well, you know what? We'll go to one more topic. Should be too bad. Candy Abilene takes over for a station break. Got 3 to go. So the New England Patriots and Jacksonville Jaguars had a record-breaking attendance at Wembley Stadium in London, England, at 86,000. What is it? 86,651. Jacksonville wins 32-16. So, all right, Bo. I'll tell you what. You had 2 teams that went into this game 1-5. One is 1-6, and the other one is 2-5. What are your thoughts about the actual turnout at Wembley Stadium with 2 teams that weren't very good, albeit Jacksonville is a following in that area?
I mean, it just shows that they're hungry for football over there, and it doesn't matter if the product is terrible. They're showing up. So kudos to the NFL, right? People are showing up to that. People tune in to Thursday Night Football, even though it's been mostly terrible. So, I guess great. I kind of feel bad for them. I wish they'd send like a good game there for them to watch.
Well, that's all right, Travis. I'm waiting to the very end. See, I'm waiting to the very end because I know, Travis, okay, he's probably going to have the floor on this.
No,
all right, Jeremy,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, but that man just said give the good food to the kids. MFTK. No, forget that.
I'm saying,
Well, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to turn it over to Travis.
No. I'm gonna let y'all go because I got time on my hands. Yeah.
Oh, I bet you do. All right. So we'll transition from.
I like it. I'm gonna let y'all finish.
Congratulations, NFL! You damn near sold out Wembley Arena for the first time. Great. The only time they really sell it out usually is soccer matches, the original football, as they like to call it. But at the same time, that is the Jaguars' second home city. So, of course, they'd sell it out.
Well, they've been playing there a lot of years. I look at the Jaguars situation in London like I look at Detroit with Thanksgiving. Many years ago, when nobody wanted the Thanksgiving game, the Lions wanted it. NFL said, sure, no problem. And I can remember I had a conversation with Jerry Jones, everybody's favorite person who likes to talk a lot, when the Arizona Cardinals were at Sun Devil Stadium. And and I think the Kansas City Chiefs were out there talking about the Lions shouldn't have it no more. And I said, Jerry Jones, did you hear about that? Yeah, he said, you know what, Scott, here's the deal. As long as I own the Dallas Cowboys, okay, how was my Jerry imitation? Wasn't too bad. Dallas Cowboys, okay, I'll have the boots, but whatever. Detroit will not lose that football game. We got Detroit and Dallas are going to keep it. And we'll figure something else out, but I will guarantee you Detroit will not lose that football game. So back to the Jacksonville situation. You're right. Okay. Jacksonville's has been actually in London for a while. I think even Shad Khan wanted to buy Wembley Stadium, but never got it worked out. But that said, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Travis Holmes. I want him to go and then Mel to close it out.
I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, Jacksonville is that is their second home. I mean, and even when they're doing the stadium reconstruction, they may have 3 games over there, and I'm sure Shad Khan's wallet will be very happy for that because they get it's like the equivalent of an extra 5% because they get the ticket revenue like this was a home game. So in very many ways, the Jaguars are very happy about how this works out for their budget, for their wallet, as far as that piece is concerned. So yeah, being able to sell this out with 2 bad teams was kind of what I was hinting at earlier when Bo was like, give them a good game. I'm sitting there like, bro, you be quiet, man. No, they are happy about this applesauce they getting. Why are you trying to give them good food? Like, no. If they are selling this stadium out with 2 1-5 football teams and they just out there just cheering it on and happy about it.
I'm not saying steak. I'm just saying, like, get them a value meal instead of, some
No, the applesauce is
Nah, bro. You hustling backwards. Like, you doing this wrong. If they are happy about this, let them be happy. Let them be happy with their little side piece, and we gonna be eating the main course meal over here, and everybody wins. This is a hustle, and they are the mark. So let this keep going, sir. Yeah, you're killing me, bro.
And the Jags winning was the cinnamon applesauce this week.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So let me ask you a question. One of the things on my bucket list next year is to go overseas. Okay. I know what they serve in France. I think they call them croissants, whatever you call those things. I mean, if you go to, I don't know what to call those stupid things. They're croissants, whatever. Obviously, my pronunciation when it comes to that stuff isn't as good. But what do they serve in England? I don't know what they serve. What do they serve? I don't know if I'll get there or not.
Trash.
Bangers and mash is their best meal, and it's like brat sausages and hash browns. That's it.
Trash.
If they're brats, then I might be able to handle the England food. But really, I like the croissants out in France. I usually, every time I go out to a buffet, I always try to get them croissants. All right, I'll turn over to Mel before I start talking about food choices driving everybody if I'm not already. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, this just goes back to NFL's great marketing machine, and this is what they do. And obviously, they want to grow their fan base. They're doing a very good job of it. They're able to take two subpar teams over there and sell out the stadium. That's great for business. It means business is good. Like AB says, business is booming. So that's good for the NFL. I think with the new stadium deal, right? Jacksonville is only going to be allowed to play one game overseas with the new stadium deal, and and then they might get a second game when they have that 9th home game, right?
It's like two
extra
games.
home game.
And in 2027 they'll be able to play 3 games during the construction.
But once they have the stadium, they'll be able to have one, and then
1 and 2 every 4 years or something like that.
Right. Yeah. But so I mean, obviously he's committed to be in the Jacksonville area. The team is not going to move to. It's not going to England. So I mean, that's good. But it's just the NFL marketing machine. I mean, they do a great job of marketing their product.
All right, you know what?
I do got one thing to add there. The game that played in London is better than the one that's slated to play in Germany. Because if that was applesauce, they're giving them prison mystery meat with Carolina versus Giants.
You know what? I don't really get many of these in, but I'm going to say no comment. Turn over to a station break with Candy Emily. So, folks, why don't you write it on your log? He actually said a no comment and documented 10/22/24 at 8:59 p.m. Eastern time because it doesn't happen often. But I do have a comment. So go take it away, Candy.
South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. You're listening to us live. If you see the red subscribe button, you haven't subscribed to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, please do so and share us with all your friends and family. The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book last November called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by your host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple, and Google Books. Get your copy today. You can also find a link to it on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can also find Jeremy's writing, Scott's writing. I take pictures. Go check out our website. We also have a link to our merchandise store where you can get a hoodie that says South Florida Tribune or that says Motor City Madmouth. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. Twitter is @Tribune South. And if you have show ideas or want to be a guest on the show, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott, and the program.
All right, thanks, Candy. Yeah, Jay did invest in the 3 books. He got one for himself. I signed it. He's got 2 for Christmas. He's doing his Christmas shopping a little bit earlier, so good stuff. I tell you what, there's some knowledge there. So with that said, all right, who's next on this topic? I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, who's next now? We're talking. So everybody's got their 2 cents on this one. Okay, good. All right, now we'll move on to a topic that Jeremy Ballrich.
Mel, you're fine. Mel, you're fine. You disappeared when I had the book up. That's all. Because
I knew. Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. Well, since everybody's talked about New England, now we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions. Started consecutive season 501 for the first time since 1934. My goodness. Will they make it 6-1 versus the 1-5 Tennessee Titans? And will they add a new pass rusher? All right. You know what? I'm going to start off with you, Jeremy. That way you don't have to chop at the bit to get a word in. We're going to give you the opportunity to get it all out in one shot.
Can we make sure that Joshua Dorr realizes that JI is watching on my YouTube channel? That's why he doesn't see the comments on your YouTube channel.
Okay, well, I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, I just wanted to do that. But, it is an excellent start. And yes, it's the first time since the team was established in Detroit when they moved from the Portsmouth, Ohio Spartans to
Right.
become the Detroit Lions when WJR-TV and the conglomerate of people that bought the team back then. On top of that, we have to talk also about Jared Goff because he's done something that hasn't been done in NFL history. And I'm not even trying to blow smoke or anything. This is straight from CBS. It is the first time since the merger. So, in other words, in the modern area of football, that a guy has had 4 games where he's completed over 72 total percent of his passes
Right.
with a 110 passer rating, and 3 straight games with a 140 passer rating and over an 80% completion rate. It's also the first time since Peyton Manning that a quarterback has thrown 2 perfect first halves of football, throwing the football without an incompletion. You're talking about rarefied air, which is why now you're seeing the pundits all across the nation, and it's not just 1 or 2. We're talking Colin Cowherd, Fox Sports, NFL Network, and ESPN are all saying Jared Goff is in the MVP conversation because also for the first time in NFL history, a team has more offensive touchdowns in 4 weeks than incompletion. 18 offensive touchdowns and 16 incompletions.
Okay, so now answer the second part of my question. Okay, and that's this: are they going to add another pass rusher, and do you think they're going to walk over Tennessee?
Well, I think they will walk over Tennessee because let's face it, those quarterbacks throw out interceptions like Halloween candy. This secondary is going to have a field day because one thing you can say is that hasn't happened in the last 2 weeks. You haven't seen a Terrion Arnold penalty,
Okay,
and he's been doing very good in coverage. As a matter of fact, he has his best game in coverage, which good to elite players start at a 65 PFF rating. He had a 65.8 this week. So you're talking about the maturation of a rookie from game 1 to game 6 already. And it started with game 5. So if he's doing that well, maybe it'll rub off on Carlton Davis, who now leads the league in PIs and defensive holding penalties, because that guy is a magnet for the flag. Every time he touches somebody, you see a flag come out. And I'm not saying it's not warranted either. I'm saying
right.
he needs to learn. He's a vet.
Mhm.
He's been in the league a while. The other thing that I've noticed is we did manufacture some pressure, despite even though it didn't look like it. We forced an interception in the first half. We
Right.
also had 4 sacks in the game, 3 by linebackers. Uh, Jack Campbell got the first one. Malcolm Rodriguez got the second one. And the third one was the one that sealed the game by linebackers in the UDFA standout, the only one I ever wrote a draft profile about in 2 seasons, Trevor Nowoski out of SVSU.
So my question to you is: do you think the Lions will acquire a
I
pass
I
rusher
I
by the
started
trade?
that sentence with I said we have to. We have to do
I
something.
okay. I didn't hear
And
that.
just before we all talk here today, Jamin Davis, defensive end that was the 19th pick in the 2021 draft, was waived by the Washington Commanders.
Okay.
So that's somebody they don't even have to trade for. And it might be an instant upgrade to the rotation. You could also go for a plethora of second tier guys. I don't know if Brad Holmes is ready to sell the farm and mortgage the future and be like, let's need and say F those picks
Okay.
because we still have holes on this roster and he may need those picks to finish building the holes for the future.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's not going to mortgage the future at all. I'm just waiting to see if he's going to pull the plug on something. Time will tell. We'll see what he does, what the price is for Demarius Smith. I think is that who it is. So all right. So we'll turn over to Bo.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're off to an impressive start. And what if I remember right? It'll be their first time with probably double-digit wins in back-to-back years ever. So, I mean, they're on pace to do a lot of things they've never done before, which is, is awesome. I mean, I'm not a Lions fan, and you still kind of low key pull for them because you like the culture they're building, and it's one of those teams that has been bad forever. They've finally turned it around. They've been good for a few years here, but they haven't done it in a way where you are already mad and you want them to lose. Like they have a culture that you're just like, oh man, like I hope they can finally do something. So I do like that. I do think they have to do something on the defense with Hutchinson going down. You got to address that. Obviously, a high motor guy. And although, the pressure didn't equal a ton of sacks, there was a lot of quarterback pressures, this last game, right? And that's a stat that I feel like gets glossed over way more than it should. Because although maybe you didn't get home, you still disrupted the play. And so, I will take consistent quarterback pressures over a high sack number every time. So I like what Detroit's doing.
I want to back that up because remember the game where Aiden Hutchinson broke out and damn near broke the sack record with 4.5 sacks. We lost to Tampa Bay. He's had 3 sacks other than that in the other 4 games he played. Yep. So at the same time, sacks are great. The pressures mean more because if you hurry a guy, they throw a throw bad, and you hear the fans of the other team going, "What are they doing?"
Yep.
Well, let's not lose sight of the fact that they played Minnesota on Sunday, came away with a 31-29 win because Dan Campbell finally has a field goal kicker they could give a game ball to, thankfully. But the reality is they didn't make a move on the pass rushing side by mortgaging the future with Hassan Reddick and winding up who's going to be staying with the Jets after all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But, they didn't go out there and play the desperate card. And like we've been saying all along, that they didn't have to mortgage the future. But we'll see what happens in the next week or 10 days ahead. All right, I'll turn over to Travis.
You're muted.
You're muted. So unless you want to be Charlie Chaplin, have a silent movie.
I muted myself during the ad break to talk to the wife.
I was looking for an excuse to put Charlie Chaplin in there.
No, but I know you were saying that it wouldn't be something like a Hassan Reddick situation for the obvious reasons, and I kind of halfway agree with that, but I still was in my head like, I don't know, maybe. But if it's not something like that, because I am in agreement that they probably have to do something. Like they are a good team and they are a good defense, but I feel like they'd be wasting that defense with a pretty big hole in that defense right now. Like obviously it was made to have Hutchinson fill that spot, and they're not going to be able to manufacture the pressure in the ways that they did this past week in every game. So it makes total sense whether it's someone like a rebuilding roster like Zadarius Smith from the Browns or Harold Landry from the Titans, maybe even Josh Uche from the Patriots, like just to give them some semblance of a solid pass rush. In that defense, it makes a little bit of sense to me, at least. I do believe that they will beat the Titans because the Titans are terrible. They have no good quarterback options. And really interestingly looked like their better quarterback option was Mason Rudolph this past week, which is just wild. It's just a wild statement to say in the lowest 2024. So I don't know. What to do about that piece, because again, if the Lions lose against the Titans, I have no answers, man. The Vikings game was close, but I would lose it because you guys are looking pretty dominant, and to Jeremy's point, Jared Goff is running Ben Johnson's offense like a freaking madman right now. So yeah,
you won't be the only one if the Titans come away with it. I'm not holding my breath that they will get another quarterback, but I'll let them have
Detroit.
What's that?
It's in Detroit.
Exactly. Yeah,
they're going into the buzzsaw of all those fans that scream out Jared Goff. I even saw a video from a Nashville Predators game with people chanting Jared Goff after they beat the Vikings. What the heck is going on?
Well, it's called the Jared Goff. It's called the Jared Goff, whatever you want.
Effect.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, speaking of effects, you guys are going to be missing Williamson for 2 weeks.
That decision has not been made by the NFL
up to
yet.
2 weeks, yes.
No, it's actually under scrutiny. They're doing more testing on it. So it sounds like it's one of those unknown substances that they don't know if it's a performance enhancing substance yet. There's 199 of those listed on the NFL website. There's 799 listed known substances. If it was one of the known substances, the suspension would have been handed out immediately. Dan Campbell addressed it this morning. He goes, I can't talk about it because they are still doing their due diligence.
Okay. All right, Mel, you got the final word on it, and I repeat, you have the final word on all of this.
I believe they will do something. They have to do something because they can't get pressure with 4 or 5 or 6. If you look at them, I mean, they're like magnets. They run right into the offensive player. They don't. I mean, Sam Darnold had all day to sit back there in the pocket and throw the ball. They cannot get any pressure. The guy they moved outside is more like a defensive tackle than he is a defensive end. You can send a bunch of folks, but if people don't really know how to get home, they're not going to get home. And the Lions have a bunch of guys that they're like magnets. They run right into the offensive lineman and they get stuck. I mean, I've never seen anything like it before in my life. I'm like, yeah, he's bringing pressure, but I'm just like, okay, where'd they go? I mean, and they just get stuck. Now I'm watching Baltimore yesterday. These guys are getting home. You got to get home if you're going to bring pressure because you put a lot of pressure on your defense now. Now your defense is in a stressful situation. They're stressed now. Your defensive backs now, so they can't cover as long. If you're going to bring pressure, you got to get home. They're not getting home, so I believe they have to do something because offensively, obviously, we know it can put up points. But if you can't stop anybody, then it's just every game is going to be a track meet, and you can't do that. I mean, especially with his decision making when you go forward on 4th and 7 from your own 34. The first series, if he's going to do stuff like that, you got to be able to get home because you're putting your defense in stressful situations at those particular times, and you got to be able to stop somebody, and they can't do it. They can't do it right now. You just can't have shootouts all the time. I mean, you got to be able to hold some people. You got to be able to hold some people. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to get home in 3rd and long situations, 2nd and long situations. They just can't keep converting on those situations and driving down the field because your defense stays on the field too long. Offense scores quick. Your defense is just out there too long. So I believe that they, because of this window, again, like I talked about before, because they're in this window right now where they have their offensive coordinator, where Ben Johnson's not going to be here forever. You just can't take that for granted. So you have this window of opportunity right now. Now is the time you have to seize that moment, and you have to do what you have to do in order to get that done. I mean, you have to mortgage the future. You have to give up a few draft picks. Then that's what you have to do because that window, it closes quick. It opens, it's cracked, it's opened a little bit, and the next thing you know, it's closed. And, as Lions fan, that window's been closed since 1950s. It's been closed for a long time. So right now, we got to seize this opportunity.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to add to this before we move on is Jared Goff only has so many miracles and comebacks in him. We know he's a quarterback that has a lot of comebacks. But at some point, you do have to stop him. You really do. And again, I'll follow Mel. They need to acquire somebody. You don't have to give up the farm, okay, but make a move to let people know that we are trying to address the position. And I think that they'll have a lot more. All right, Jeremy, let me finish and then I'll give you the final word, okay? So obviously we know the trade deadline is ahead of us. We've seen that what they could do against a quality opponent like the Vikings. So they got away with one. Because I thought when Minnesota took the early 10-0 lead, I said, what are we in for? But then the Lions got hot, and then they started to play a lot better, and they put themselves in a position to win because the Lions found a kicker out of the United Football League, the Michigan Panthers. Oh, my goodness. All right, Jeremy, we have 2 topics to go. You can finish it off with one last word.
The quick thing I wanted to add is there's plenty of the second-tier guys that can be added through trades that are available where you don't have to mortgage the future, and just adding them to that room improves the talent.
Good enough. That's a good final word. All right, now we'll talk about Devontae Adams. Lost to the Steelers twice in 7 days. Whoa! How is that possible? Well, of course it is possible, but it's still pretty weird. The guy loses twice to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I guess to me.
Yeah, no, they're going to trade him to the Giants so he can lose again this week.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, no real story there. He went from a bad team to another team that really isn't very good.
Yeah.
I mean, can they get better? Sure, but as it sits today, like it's a bad team. They don't play well as a unit, despite the fact that the roster looks okay.
All right, Jeremy.
Well, I said my reaction to the Devontae Adams trade on the Fire Up show, and I'm going to say it again. Does he play left guard or right guard? No, it's not going to do a damn bit of good, because that's their problem. Their O-line is a sieve. He's under pressure. Right now, Mahomes and Rodgers are tied with 8 interceptions and leading the league. Right. Think about that. Both of them have more interceptions than touchdown passes.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, Travis.
Yeah, I mean, the both Jeremy and Bo kind of made the points, man. Like, at the end of the day, this is a league where O-line play matters. Like, quarterback play matters, but if you don't have the blocking in front of you, you're going to have some problems, man. And at this current moment in time, you got one quarterback who's really good at scrambling and probably one of the hardest quarterbacks to sack, but these interceptions are piling up. It is what it is. And another quarterback who's off of an experimental knee surgery, who also has offensive line issues and also has a problem living in the 1990s because he wants everybody who's old that he used to play with, that used to be like incredible and dope. Like, and these receivers are good. Don't get me wrong, man. But this is why you don't let your best players be GMs sometimes, because this is that whole LeBron James situation. Like, hey, this may not work out if you're just trying to build your superstar team, but you ain't got to build that line too, bro. Like, that's the problem, and that's what they're missing right now, unfortunately. So, Jeremy made the point. It's not an offensive lineman; it's a problem, and more importantly, they rested all of their cachet, I guess I'll call it, on getting him to this team, because you've heard it this whole past week, and that's all it was about. It was about, all right, he's here now, it's gonna work out, and now that it's got to be one hell of a practice trying to sell this to that locker room after you've already let go of your coach. That even after getting this guy, it looks exactly the same. The problem's still the same problems. Nothing materially changed, and you won't have an answer, bro. That must be like a graveyard in that locker room this week.
They're bringing Eddie Lacy back.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Though, Travis, I got to tell you, my friend, you have hit 2 bullseyes tonight. This was your latest one, so good stuff. All right, I'll hand the rock over to Mel.
Yeah, the Jets are in a similar situation as the Cowboys. I mean, they have a great looking roster, but their team is not very good. They lack chemistry, and that's what their problem is. They lack leadership in the locker room. Aaron is Aaron. He's a great player, great spinner of the football, can throw the football, can make all the throws and all that kind of stuff. But is he a leader? Will people follow him? Doesn't seem like people will really follow him. Doesn't seem like he's really, embraced this team, this locker room. He's looking at himself as kind of a quasi assistant head coach quarterback, / quarterback, and not really just being one of the guys. Is he one of the guys? Is he going out and having chicken wings with the guys, inviting the guys over and eating chicken wings and drinking beer and watching games or doing whatever at his house? It doesn't seem that he's embraced them that way. He might embrace some of the guys, but he hasn't embraced everybody. And I could care less if the Jets, really, honestly, if they win another game, because I think they did Saleh. I think they did him wrong. Now you fire him. You're now you're gonna trade for Devontae Adams. You're gonna get rid of the offensive coordinator, and you're gonna sign Reddick. Well, I mean, if you're gonna do all this stuff, why not give him all that? Why not give him the opportunity to do all that? The part of the team that was good is no longer good now. And the part of the team was struggling is still struggling. The offense is still struggling. The defense is not playing well right now. So I could care less if they win another game. And we already know, we talked about it before. It's never happened in the history of the league where when you fire a coach mid-season that team goes to the Super Bowl. It doesn't happen. It hasn't happened. What made him think that it was going to happen now? He just thinks that he's just smarter than everybody else. I could care less if they win another game. Like I said, Aaron is Aaron. I don't particularly care for his personality. It's not the type of personality that I would want to be my quarterback, but maybe he's a different guy at home. I don't know. But from what I see from the outside looking in, it's not a good situation. And I don't believe that situation is going to get any better.
All right, here. Let me bring a couple points. Number one, he's wearing number 8, his same jersey number at the University of California. Number two, you know what Aaron's finding out? That the New York media is a whole lot different than the ones in Green Bay. So, they can put up, Green Bay can put up with your shortcomings, and all of a sudden, New York, the Big Apple, let me tell you, the Big Apple will swallow you up if you're not producing. And now everybody, say what you want about this guy. But right now, when you look at the records compared with Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, it's not looking good either. So, here, yeah, I know, Jeremy. I'll tell you, you remind me of a dog sometimes looking for a bone. I'll throw you a bone in a minute.
You said a name. It struck a chord.
Yeah, I know. A lot of things strike a chord. That's okay.
Upside
Jeremy.
is still much better than.
I'll flick Jeremy the bone when I finish with my meal here. Okay, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are in the Big Apple. Well, across the street from New Jersey, the Big Apple. The only team in New York is actually the Buffalo Bills, and not the New Jersey Jets and the New Jersey Giants, because that's where they're really at anyway. But here's the thing. The media situation is different. Yeah, okay, so Devontae Adams gets to leave Vegas. Good reason why. They don't have a quarterback that can play the position. Even Aiden O'Connell got hurt. But, Aaron, guess what? Be careful what you ask for. You traded one set of green to another. How did that work out? Brett Favre, of course, maybe I believe Eric Mangini did name his kid after Brett Favre to get him there. But that's for another day. But, Aaron, guess what? New York won't be nice to you if you don't play well. We sat there and picked on Cleveland earlier in the show, but I'll tell you, those boos come a lot faster in New York than they do in Cleveland. In Cleveland, you have to earn your boos and get paid $230 million to get them. So, all right, with that said, Jeremy, okay, you can go ahead. I'm throwing you the bone.
It's funny that you threw me that bone named Zach Wilson. I'm going to turn it into some boneless nuggies real quick. Because in the 9 games he played as a rookie, he only threw 7 interceptions. In the 12 games he played the previous season, when Aaron Rodgers went down, he only threw 7 interceptions. Right now, Aaron Rodgers in 7 games has more interceptions than either season that Zach Wilson was a starter.
Yeah, and yet the only thing I'll add to that is Aaron Rodgers wanted to take Zach Wilson under his wing, but all of a sudden Zach got run out of town. But I don't want to go too far. The main thing is that Devontae Adams lost to the Steelers twice in 7 days. I'm telling you, man, and these weren't even divisional games. Don't figure. Well, Devontae, you might, I actually give you a little bit. I'll give you a mulligan on this one for one reason. You weren't there that long anyway, so you'll need another week to regain your chemistry with Rodgers. But nevertheless, as a journalist, I still have to point out the facts. And the reality is Devontae Adams lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers twice in 7 days. And that's that. One last thing I want to get to tonight in the NFL Flexes Week 9's Colts-Vikings matchup to Sunday Night Football bumps the Jaguars-Eagles. This game moves to CBS at 4:25 p.m. Now, one of the intrigues until this took place would have been Doug Peterson facing the Eagles, but apparently that wasn't good enough. You know what? I'm going to lead off with you this time, Travis, with your thoughts about this switcheroo.
Got that slow clap.
Hey, thank you, NFL. We appreciate that. We in the United States of America appreciates you making the intelligent decision. No one in Duval County, in Jacksonville, Florida, wanted that game to be at night, wanted this game on prime time. The Jacksonville Jaguars are historically terrible in prime time. It's around like 400%, winning percent in prime time. Sunday Night Football specifically, we're 5-7, which is 417. So like they're not good. I've been saying this. I said it on Twitter in September 30th. Hey, if this game has the potential of being flexed, please, everybody should be praying for this game to be flexed, because this is not a good situation for Jacksonville. I'm very happy for this. If they have any moderate opportunity of dreaming about the playoffs, then yeah, they need every piece of voodoo to go their way. I don't know. So this game being flexed into a 4:30, 4:25 p.m. starting time, maybe they'll do a little better because it's not necessarily Friday night. Not necessarily Sunday night. It's Sunday afternoon. I don't know these rules or how this voodoo works, but these are the rules. So thank you, NFL. Maybe the Jaguars might actually win one more game this season. This is great. Good job.
So let me ask you a question, Travis. You ever heard of the New Orleans voodoo?
I've heard of New Orleans voodoo. I mean, I don't play with that kind of stuff though.
They're in the Arena Football League. Just kidding with you. I just thought since you decided.
You talking about the Arena Football? I'm talking about actual voodoo. Yeah,
no, I'm talking about the New Orleans voodoo. Yeah, I'm in a voodoo. Hey, listen, I talked about marijuana tonight. I might as well talk about voodoo too. Who cares?
Man, this show is going off the rails. I love it.
Oh no, this show is off the charts. Off the rails. Wait.
We didn't talk about drugs. We didn't talk about illegal medical care. Just voodoo. British food.
This show's off the charts. This is for your
entertainment
value, people.
Travis, I want a voodoo doll home.
We've gone everywhere. Now we go to voodoo. All right. You know what, Mel? Get me out of my voodoo and my marijuana mindset and tell me what you think about this thing not being flexed.
Not a whole lot. I mean, Sunday Night Football hasn't been that attractive to me lately, but the Vikings and the Colts game doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Right. Of course, Jacksonville, that game really didn't do a whole lot for me. So Jacksonville and Philly. I mean, I probably would have watched that game just because watch Philadelphia play. But Vikings and the Colts doesn't make me warm and fuzzy. To be honest with you, but maybe the NFL knows what they're doing. What's Indianapolis' record? That's what I was looking at. I was trying to see what their record is.
They're what, 3-3 or 2-4 or something like that. They're not doing well.
Yeah, like they're not. They got rid of a bad game for another bad game. Like it didn't really make sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I was trying to see if there's a reason. I mean,
because the Colts at least have a legitimately. If they want, the Colts have a fighting chance.
True.
That's the issue. True. The Colts have a fighting chance of actually still fighting for that AFC South,
and they probably want
second place in the division
as well. Which I haven't watched them play, so I might
the Jaguars are one more loss from like legitimately being out of the playoff hunt. Like we could lose this week against Green Bay, and this is not even a conversation.
Yeah, but I would have liked to see how many yards Philly could rush against you guys. I mean, I thought that would have been interesting. And Saquon, he's my running back on fantasy, so I would have liked to,
now it all comes out.
Now it all comes out. He gets five with no other games on. That's what it was.
Mel took the slow burn. Now we got to it.
Yeah, all right, Mel, I get it. What are you smoking tonight, Mel? That's what I want to know. What are you fantasy football by Mel?
Legal in Georgia.
Yeah, I can't do that smoking stuff. I can tell you some stories.
Well, and just to answer your question, they're 4-3. Okay, so there you go. So there you go. I guess
4-3. Okay.
Yeah. So the question of the night will be, what are you smoking tonight, or what are you on, or whatever.
Yeah, I can't do that smoking stuff. You ain't got to worry about me smoking.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's okay. I still can't. I hope that law does pass, anyways. Can't get it off my mind after all this time on the air. All right, Jeremy.
Some thoughts about youthful days.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, my new norm is a whole lot different these days than it ever has been. But anyways, Jeremy, some thoughts really quickly about this game being flexed, good or bad?
It's good. I mean, you're talking about not letting the Jags stink up prime time. It's a great thing.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we don't lack candor on this show tonight. Okay.
This is exactly how I feel about it.
That's right. Just throwing daggers.
There you go. I hope your daggers are more accurate than my dart throwing, but forget about that. All right, Bo, you got the final word on this one, I think.
No, it's a good switch. I mean, the Jags are terrible. Like I'm fine with not seeing them in prime time.
Well, guess what? I'm fine not seeing both of them in prime time because my wife gets TV night on Sunday. We put NCIS on, so that's none of the above. If you were having,
do you understand how much it hurts being a fan of this team and also covering them and still not having any kind of rebuttal to all this stuff that y'all saying because it's absolutely factually true?
Well, you know what? I'll be asking you though. Yeah, but I'll be asking you in future shows and a couple of shows here. How are they doing in terms of media coverage? Even though I decided I couldn't take the drive up there anymore, or do they need media coverage and I have to fill out every single form on the planet. I don't know.
Now you know how we've been feeling for decades.
All right, exactly.
Hey,
You
man.
acting like the Jaguars have been good these decades also. Like
Wait a minute.
we were historically
the
bad over this
AFC
past 10 years,
Jeremy.
though.
Yeah.
I think they've been to the AFC Championship 4 times.
I mean, in the history of our team, sure, in the 30 years we've been around, but I'm talking about this past decade. We had that one good season, 2017. Yeah, we had that 2017 season, and then after that, it was like, all right, if you're gonna be the number a top 5 pick and twice the number 2 pick, back to back, or AFC Championship, like just to give you a little bit, just to give you a little bit of a treat, and then back to being garbage. Like, come on, man, I'd rather be like, just make me average, make me Pittsburgh. I don't know.
I still would rather be the Jaguars with a 9-win record in the playoffs and 4 AFC championships than the Dallas Cowboys since their last Super Bowl. 5 playoff wins and no NFC championship.
Yeah, that's different. Nobody wants to be the Cowboys.
I'll end that one because of the curse of Jimmy Johnson. That's all I'll say. But I'll reiterate, NCIS is king of the house on Sunday nights. Period. There we go. That does it tonight. But meanwhile, Candy's going to come in for a station break. Everybody's going to give how they can get a hold of you. So, Candy, go ahead with that final station break. We want to thank Jay and everybody else in the chat room for providing some great information and insight. And we're doing, Jay, you're awesome. Then again, that'll be a cliche by the time I get done using it. And all the people that participated earlier. Go ahead, Candy, take it away.
If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday, we talk all kinds of sports. Thursday nights, we talk hockey. And then we talk, you just never know what we're going to be talking about. So tune in Wednesday night, 9 o'clock to Fire Up. If you like to read, Scott wrote a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morgenroth, and talks about his 40-plus years in the media industry and how it has changed. Get your copy, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple, and Google Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find the writings of Scott and Jeremy. You can find pictures that I've taken. You can also find a link to our merchandise store. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. If you'd like to be a guest on a show or have show ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Twitter is @TribuneSouth. Back to the program, Scott.
Thank you, Candy. All right, Bo, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you, buddy?
So you can find me here on Tuesday nights on my channel at Football-Talk, and that's actually why this Pepsi can was here. Is I have this signed Tyler Lockett card that was part of a subscription plug. When I hit 500 subs on my channel, I'm gonna give this one away from an event I was coaching at. So you can find me on all the socials at Football Talk with Bo.
Great stuff. All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Well, you can read my ratings, as Candy said, with the South Florida Tribune. You can find me here occasionally on Inside the Pigskin every week on Fire Up, and every Wednesday on NoFilter.net with Scott on the Motor City Madmouth show. You can also find me daily on my channel, because I don't care if I'm on any of these shows. I share it to my channel. So you can find me from noon to 1 with Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. And then I got 4 primetime shows I do throughout the week, as well as all these other shows. I think I'm live 12 times a week anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, my vocal cords are going like everything other part of my body. I got 2 vocal cords sitting next to each other like neighbors. And they remind me of brake pads, man. They're wearing out. I have to deal with that issue. But you do a great job with Candy and Ralph on Thursday night with the Fire Up show. I've listened to those. And folks, if you ever watch this show, I think it is pretty fun to watch. All right, Mel, go ahead.
You can find me on all the social at Melfar Jr. You can follow what we have going on for the youth at Melfar, superstarfoundation.org.
Okay, and last but not least, Travis Sherlock Holmes, who probably is involved in a broadcast that he never believed he'd hear a lot of the things coming out of my mouth, but so be it. There's plenty more to come, Travis.
Oh, I don't see the problem. These are the great things that you would normally talk about in the off season. And you get to bring up these little weird and interesting conversations. So I'm here for all of it. Keep it going, Scott. Yeah, you
Well, let
can
me
find
tell
my
you what.
writings.
How many people ever visualize me as a skier? Really? Seriously? And then, of course, tearing an ankle up. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I
you
can
got it.
visualize that part.
No.
Yeah, right. I was thinking that.
That was one of the tame parts, but yeah, I got you. But no, you can find my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on BigCatCountry.com. We have the Duval Dive Jaguars podcast with myself and Kyle Nash with Fans First Sports Network. We have our podcast on Wednesday nights, 7:30 p.m. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Help us out. Help us grow that channel. It's we're just 3 months in. We're approaching 200 subscribers, so I'm very excited about that. And yeah, Travis D. Holmes on Twitter. I love to talk NFL football in general. I'm primarily Jacksonville Jaguars, but as you hear today, we're talking all sports, including college football. So yeah, definitely hit me up, man. And as always, thank you for having me, Scott. Fellas, good show, man.
I tell you, Travis, you're a blast. This crew has been a lot of fun tonight. For me to go off on the 9 million tangents and people learning things about me that they never visualized they ever learned, and to be able to stand through every one of those outrageous, crazy stories. Okay, you know what? Great stuff. We appreciate all the kind words coming from Joseph Osteen. Santa, I don't know. I have a feeling this thing will be off probably in about 3 to 4 or 5 days, but we'll see what happens when I ho during Christmas time. And of course, Jay, I appreciate the fact that you still think I sound good. You know, at times I wonder about my voice, how long it can go, but I'll go as long as I need to go. As long as I'm having a good time, you forget about the rest of that stuff. So this crew's been a lot of fun to work with. We had a lot of fun tonight. And, you know, every time I look forward to this show on Inside the Pigskin, regardless who's on, you know, and I do everything in my power to not miss it. When you're surrounded by a bunch of thoroughbreds like I am, mark my words, it's an awful lot. It's easy to race with these guys. So this does conclude this edition of Inside the Pigskin. On behalf of Bo Crouch, Jeremy Ballrick, Mel Farr Jr., and Travis Holmes, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next Tuesday night, same time, same station. Catch you next week. And even though we didn't have any college football, might have a little bit then. We'll have some interesting topics in line, but tonight it was all pro football. And yes, the Patriots and the Jaguars are a hit in London. Good night, everybody.